start this evening. I want to thank everybody for coming. I'm Eric Wood, co-host of Another Voice with Jason and Eric. This is Jason Rogers, my partner in crime on the radio. We invited everyone on the ballot to come to this forum, and we are so pleased with the folks who are able to make it here tonight. Before we get started, I want to thank a few people. I want to thank the University Center for the use of this facility. I want to thank Beyond Differences, our radio. It's a teenage radio show on Spin FM 103.3, where teenagers get involved in community. And they're the young ladies handing out the sample ballots at the door. Also want to thank Spin FM 103.3, the radio station we're on, and it's helping us promote this. And this forum would not have happened without the help of the League of Women Voters of Greenville County. They've been just vital to us being able to do this, and we thank them for that. And for the candidates, two young ladies back here from the League are going to be giving you your cue cards as to when you can finish up your speeches. And I said to them earlier, that red sign going up, there will be no Jim Lair moments here. So one of us will come up and look intimidating or try to. So we want to thank you all for coming, those who come to listen, and for the candidates. On our show, we stress that we the people have the real power in this country. Amen. And a lot of times I think we forget that. We think of corporations and lobbies and unions, and you can go down a whole list of things. And we feel that we actually are powerless. But I want to give you a South Carolina example. Before the June primary, 280 people were removed from the ballot. For various reasons, we're not going to go into pros and cons, but they were removed. Choice for the South Carolina voter was gone. But the South Carolina voter said no. 156 of those candidates were put back on the ballot by the average voter, who either signed a petition, who walked with the sheets of petition, knocked on people's doors, or held events, and we the people brought choice back to our election. So we can make a difference. And our key tool is voting. And what we say on the show all the time is what's most important is that you know what you're voting for, that you're informed when you vote. So that's why we're here tonight. The basic format is going to be, we're going to take the sample ballot. Most of you have gotten the sample ballot there. And we're just going to go down the list. We're going to start with the top office that has a candidate here present. That's going to be the 4th Congressional District. We're going to tell who's running for that race, whether they're here or not. And then we're going to bring up the candidates. Now, originally, we made a rookie mistake. We asked politicians for a brief bio. And I apologize, that was my mistake. So what we're going to do, we were kind of do that to kind of facilitate your 5 minutes, but we're just going to introduce who you are, tell your name. If you're a current office holder, we'll mention that. And if you would like to fill in some of the blanks on the bio, we'll let you go ahead and do that if you want to use that in your 5 minutes. You'll have 5 minutes to tell the voters what you think they need to know to vote for you. You'll get a 2-minute warning, a 1-minute warning, and then that pretty little red sign. And by then, we hope you can finish up. After all the candidates speak, we'll have a couple closing remarks, and then we'll dismiss the meeting. And if the candidates would mind hanging around and talking to some of the voters individually, that'd be fantastic. We decided that rather than having questions during a forum with so many candidates, that it would be better if we let you talk one-on-one. I think we have all the basic format down. We're going to go ahead and get started. Jason's going to start us off with the first office.
It's the U.S. House of Representatives, 4th Congressional District. Trey Gowdy is the sitting congressman who wasn't able to make it tonight. The first we're going to have is someone who's on the ballot twice for the Democratic ticket and the Working Families Party candidate, and that's Deb Morrow.
I think she may be running a little bit late, so we'll move on to the next candidate.
And we're going to next have the Just Representative candidate who says he's only going to run for 1 term, and he's going to be the only person in U.S. history, is what it says here, that is going to not take any money from any financial endorsement from anyone. And he's only going to run 1 term. That's Jeff Summerall.
Come on up, Jeff. Thank you very much, and thank you for organizing this. Also, I'm not going to express an opinion during the entire election, nor during my one term if elected. And the reason for that is this is a very non-traditional extreme campaign, because we felt like the situation right now is very extreme. So in an effort to sort of tip it back to somewhat of a level playing field, we need to take some extreme steps. So I'm not a politician, never been a politician, don't plan to be a politician. I'm a frustrated, concerned citizen who thought, instead of saying somebody ought to, somebody should, somebody ought to, then why not me, and why not take the chance of looking silly, ridiculous, daring, and that's what we're doing with just representation. This idea is really based for this particular office. It doesn't work for every office, but the idea was if you had just a representative, if there was a way to find out what the majority of the district thinks and needs, what they believe, then it would be just a representative. And with this technology that's now available, an online voting system, that allows us to do that. We thought we would have to, if elected, get the operating funds, the $900,000 a congressman gets every year to operate. We would have to design this software, but it exists. It's being used in Finland, Germany, Sweden. And what it does, it gives the potential to have a much broader range of participants and interest in the legislation process. If it's implemented, what it does, every citizen in the 4th district who's willing to participate would have an equal opportunity to directly express and directly record their preferences on any pending legislation. Now think about that. Directly express and directly record. That's the key. I don't know how many of you have called your congressman or written to your congressman. It feels good. You did your job. It's like, that's good, yeah. But after about an hour, you wonder, did they read that? Does it have any impact? What happens to that? You don't know, because it's not concrete. This is very concrete. Also, when you vote for somebody, if your person doesn't win, even if they do win, you're not sure what they're going to do. You don't know. And you got to wait, okay, 2 years later, I'll give it another shot, maybe 4 years later. With this empowers you beyond the election. It goes back to what Eric said. Those people who got kicked off the ballot, everybody rallied, got them back on the ballot. This would allow us to do that where it doesn't have to be an issue like that. That's the only time we seem to get involved, when there's a big issue. This empowers us beyond the election for everything. So think about this. Whatever issue you have in your mind right now, think of it. You go online, a secure voting system is online, you're for it. Okay, there's 22,300 people who have voted against it. There's 22,000 who are for it. You're going to start calling people. You're just going to start getting involved. You're going to start saying, hey, let's get online. We can push this up. And whatever the majority says, that's how the representative votes. It's similar to a foreman in a jury. The foreman's job is to make sure the jury has all the information, all the data, all the facts. They understand both sides of the case. If there's confusion, they go to the judge, get clarification, they vote. The foreman then delivers the verdict or the vote. It doesn't matter what the foreman believes. It'd be totally opposite, but that's what's delivered. So this is something to level the playing. It's not a perfect system, but it's something that would maybe give us that empowerment beyond the election to reduce the frustration. And you know, some people say, well, this is mob rules, but it's not. In fact, the only people who've said that have been former politicians or some current politicians, and maybe they think it's mob rules because, wait, people have the power, but that's not the case. This is not. It has check systems. It has rules. It has regulations, and it's within our own government that has its own check systems. The 3 branches of legislation and the Supreme Court. So I'd like for you just to consider this. And again, it's not the answer. It's not the perfect system, but we could make history by giving it a shot. And I say, why not give it a shot? What's the worst that can happen? Everything will stay about like it is, or we might just make history by implementing a new possibility of upgrading our current system. The current system is okay, but it needs to be upgraded. To me, Congress is like having an AA meeting in a bar. And there's some wonderful people there, but at some point, you're just going to give in. So let's try to maybe upgrade the system a bit. Thanks for your time, and be glad to talk to you afterwards.
All right, thank you, Mr. Summerall. We're moving on to the South Carolina Senate. District 6, there are two people running. Mike Fair, who is the current incumbent Republican, and Tommy Reese, petition candidate. This is one of the candidates that we the people put back on the ballot. She currently serves, it's her 4th term on the Greenville County School Board of Trustees. Tommy, the podium's yours.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here, and thanks to the folks from Another Voice for putting this on in the League of Women Voters. I am Tommy Reese, the petition Republican candidate for South Carolina Senate District 6. And many of you may already know me from my volunteer work in the community or my work at Greenville Technical College for many years or at Furman University. Or you may recognize me, as Eric said, from my work on the school board, where I have served 4 terms representing District 17, and I've served as chair for 3 terms. I'm very proud of what I've accomplished on the school board, whether that was rebuilding 70 buildings or expanding school choice or improving academic performance across the board or helping the charter schools get their funding in a more timely manner. With my background in education and what we've accomplished here in Greenville, I would like to take that to Columbia to work for you there and improve education statewide. I believe education is critical for our state, particularly for our future, and we need to start with parents being the first teachers of the children. Then we provide a successful education program from strong kindergarten through high school and on to college or technical training that prepares our young people for the careers of today and tomorrow. We need to simplify the revenue streams, provide flexibility, and cut the administrative overhead so that more of the dollars get to the classroom where the student really uses it. And although I'm concerned about education, I'm also concerned about the role of our state government. We all agree that we need to restructure state government, and what I mean by restructuring is everything from fixing the state unemployment tax, which has been allowed to spiral out of control, to the state retirement system, whose huge burden is a liability to all of us, to the DOT and transportation funding that just simply is broken. We must tackle these problems now and plan ahead, save for a rainy day, and not spend money we don't have. You wouldn't do that in your households or your businesses, and we shouldn't be doing it in state government either. Our government must operate more efficiently, and I would work to streamline the functions, attack the waste that's in the system, and reduce administrative overhead. We need to put some real teeth into our ethics laws and make the process transparent and fully accountable. And while education is important and the government restructuring is clearly vital, what we really need here at home are good jobs. I grew up working in a family business and have been surrounded by entrepreneurs, so I understand the importance of small businesses and how they create jobs and what they do for our quality of life in our community. We need to overhaul the tax code, lower the rates, and make the tax system more fair for everyone. What we really don't need are more taxes and more regulations that strangle our dreams. Now, for South Carolina to be successful, I would encourage private venture capital to come into our state, maintain our environment of free enterprise, and work for a statewide economic development plan to attract businesses. And by working together, we can find solutions to build our great state. Now, earlier in my first sentence, I told you I'm a petition candidate. That's a little different critter around here. But that means that in order to vote for me, you have to vote for my name specifically on the ballot. Now, you can do that in 2 ways. You may vote a straight party ticket and then go on down the ballot and vote for me, or you may vote office by office, and of course when you get to the state Senate spot, vote for Tommy Reese. Friends, I'm neither a career full-time politician nor an inexperienced beginner. I offer a balanced combination, leadership experience with results coupled with fresh ideas and new energy. I'm Tommy Reese, running for South Carolina State Senate District 6, and I ask for your vote to be your voice in Columbia. Thank you.
All right, moving on, we're District 12, State Senate. The incumbent, Lee Bright, was unable to make it. And the challenger, Andre Thompson, is here with us. He's running both as a Democrat and under the Working Family Party as well. Andre?
All right, good evening. I would first of all like to thank the League of Women Voters and Jason and Eric for hosting us this evening. My name is Andre Thompson, and I was born in Greer, South Carolina at the former Allen Bennett Hospital to Michael and Gwen Thompson. My parents taught my sisters and I the values of family, hard work, and sacrifice. I graduated from Burns High School as the student body president and with 12 years perfect attendance from the South Carolina public school system. I went to college here in the state and went on to complete my graduate degree at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore. And for the vast majority of my career, I've been a business guy. I started a small business 7 years ago. And the reason that I am running for the South Carolina Senate is because I don't think that we have to settle for poor leadership and high unemployment in South Carolina. Our K-12 educational system continues to lag behind the remainder of the country in terms of academic achievement, and it was just reported, I believe, last week that we now have the sixth highest unemployment rate in the United States. So when you hear people talking about jobs and economic development and supporting our educational system, the first things that you should ask yourself is, do the people that we currently have in leadership, do they represent our best interests? Are those persons currently looking out for the greater good rather than themselves? And I think that this election is perhaps one of the most important elections in recent memory because it is just not, it just isn't about the election at the local level. It's about whether we move forward as a state or whether we move backwards. Because all of you have heard the talking points year after year after year. And it isn't necessarily one political party. I think both parties are a little bit guilty of some of the talking points. But I think that we have the decision in this election on whether we move forward or move backwards. And I hope that as a state we can come together and vote for people who are working towards performance rather than politics. Because I think all of us can agree that politics oftentimes divide us. And I'm not happy about that whatsoever. And I'm not happy about the fact that my state, the state that I was born in, the state that I've been a resident of for the past 32 years, continues to receive the blunt of jokes of late night television and front page articles that say those students really aren't learning. They're not serious about moving their economy forward. They're not serious about creating jobs for their citizens. So this is a very, very important election. We must move beyond complacency. We must move beyond voting straight party ticket. And we must begin electing people who are actually wanting to do something rather than talking about they're going to do something. So again, my name is Andre Thompson. I'm running for South Carolina Senate District 12 in Greenville and Spartanburg County. The district lines run from Westgate Mall in Spartanburg all the way up to Pelham Road in Greenville. And it goes back over to Roper Mountain Road all the way up to Woodruff Road. So if you know any people that work at BMW or Michelin or that fly out of GSP Airport, all of those corporations and institutions are in my district. So I humbly ask for your prayers and for your thoughts. And I challenge you all to look beyond party labels and vote for the best possible candidate, based largely upon their background and their interest in moving the state forward, and not just their own personal agenda. Thank you all tremendously.
Okay, next, we're going to the South Carolina House of Representatives. And we have a couple here for running for District 25. The first has a master's in education administration from Furman and some doctoral classes in educational leadership from Clemson and 16 years experience on the Greenville County School Board. And that is Leola Robinson Simpson.
All right. Well, good evening, and thank you so much. I am really delighted to be a part of this forum this evening because the election this year will do much, or could do much, to change the course of our affairs in the state of South Carolina. I am Leola Robinson Simpson. I grew up right here in Greenville, South Carolina. I graduated from the old Sterling High School in Greenville with honors. After graduating from high school, I went to Shaw University in Raleigh, North Carolina on a 4-year scholarship. Unfortunately, my scholarship went bad because the school went bankrupt my freshman year. So I went to New York to work because jobs in Greenville were so scarce back in the early 60s when I graduated from high school. And I worked my way through York College, City College, and Hunter College, all of the City University of New York. Coming back to Greenville, I did graduate with a master's from Furman University. I have a graduate certificate in public policy from Brandeis University in Boston. And I did take some doctoral classes in the educational leadership program at Furman University. And all of that equipped me to do one thing, and that was to better serve as a trustee on the Greenville County School Board, where I am in my 4th term. I've served for 16 years. And one of the things that I learned is that much that impacts education, employment, economic development, and everything else in Greenville County has to do with the state legislature. And for that reason, since I'm now retired from Greenville Technical College, I am running for the South Carolina House of Representatives because I have such a vested interest in the growth of this community. I have a vested interest in the people of this community, and I believe that with strong, assertive leadership that we can do better in the state of South Carolina. One of the reasons I'm running for the State House is because I truly believe that the good children in the state of South Carolina deserve more than a minimally adequate education, which is in our Constitution in the state of South Carolina. That has to be changed. Now, we have a great school system in Greenville County, but you go down that card of shame, and it's a different story. Children are attending schools that we as a state, as a great state, should be ashamed of. And I'm going to Columbia to do what I can to change that whole mentality. Our state can do better than educate in early childhood education only 4-year-olds who are minimally at risk or greatly at risk. Other children in our state, if they don't fall into the category of being greatly at risk, cannot enter an early childhood program. How can your children and grandchildren and mine, who are not at the greatest risk in their early childhood years be competitive in this global economy. So we need to do more to access early childhood education for more children. I am also running to make our roads around schools a state responsibility so our children can be safe. I am running because if our governor decides to privatize our bus system, we want to make sure that our children down at the Ware Place are not standing on the side of the road. I am running to make economic development, from what I learned during my years at the Private Industry Council at the Chamber of Commerce, a reality for our people. We know that we have a lot of businesses that come into this area who pay fees in lieu of taxes and who also locate in these multi-industrial parks, but we don't have access to the deals that are cut at the table for how those fees are spent. And I'd like to see those fees that are contracted be spent more, for our schools and for our communities. Lastly, I'd like to say that nobody talks about crime. Crime is running rampant. We see too many offenders go into the criminal justice system, and they come out with no job, no hope for a job, can't find a job because of their prison record. And what do? After being home a few days with no money in their pockets, they're going to rob the nearest store, filling station, bank that they can find. We can do as other states are doing, and I will work also for prison reform. I ask for your prayers in this endeavor. Thank you.
Okay, we have a write-in candidate who has a Bachelor of Science in Elementary Education from the College of Charleston, has got a Master's of Divinity from Morehouse School of Religion at the Interdenominational Theology Center in Atlanta, and a Doctor of Ministry degree from Gardner-Webb University in Boiling Springs, North Carolina, and is currently a full-time pastor. Tony Boyce.
Good evening. My name is Tony Boyce. I'm running as a write-in candidate for South Carolina House of Representatives, District 25. And I want to open this up a little bit and just ask any of you, regardless of what your faith affiliation is, by a show of hands, how many of you believe in miracles? Okay, keep that in mind, because this is our national debt, which is $16 trillion, and our state debt, which is $8.8 billion. Our national debt accumulates at a rate of about $1 trillion a year. That's roughly $256 million a day. And our state debt, to break it down to realistic numbers, comes out to about $8,100 a person. So again, how many of you believe in miracles? Because what I'm asking you to do is to follow the courage to change. I'm running for public office for two reasons. The first is I have a vision for change for the community in which I live, South Carolina House District 25, but also have the courage to tell you the truth. And many leaders don't have that courage anymore. We can talk about economic development, we can talk about education, we can talk about unemployment, but the bottom line is that everyone who is struggling to find a job here in our state just doesn't have the skills that are necessary to face the changes that are in our economy. And it's going to take a state to change its attitude about education in order for us to be able to raise the tax revenue to pay off the $8.8 billion of debt that our state has. If we have career politicians in the state house, we have persons who are in leadership that are continuously doing the same thing, we're going to get more of this. So if you pay attention to when you get home your state tax return, and you notice over the years that your state's tax return is becoming less and less than it has been over the years, this is primarily one of the reasons why. How many of you can afford, by show of hands, to give South Carolina another $8,172? I didn't think it was anybody. And so the vision I have for the campaign is to do three things. The first is to revive education. There are currently 600,000 adults in the state of South Carolina who have less than a high school diploma. 60% of the African Americans in Greenville County have less than a high school diploma. I want to be able to change that by changing the attitudes about education from not just being a K through 12 education, but see education as a lifelong learning process. Secondly, we want to be able to reduce unemployment. When persons get the skills that are necessary for a change of job market, that puts them in a better position to get the jobs that are out there that are available. we want to get that unemployment in South Carolina from 10% to about 4%. Thirdly and lastly, we want to be able to rebuild community. There was a time in the African American community particularly where the doctor, the lawyer, the school teacher, and the engineer all lived in the same community. That time has changed. And so now, when children grow up in a community similar to the one I live in, they don't have access to those professionals that they once had 30 or 40 years ago. And so we want to invite business professionals to have a philanthropic mission, create tax incentives for them to give back to the public education system in a tangible way. Not just looking at them getting a tax deduction, but them building a visible presence with their students. We already know this has worked with programs such as Michelin, such as Train Up a Gentleman, and all the other programs that are looking forward to being visible to students who need to see that there are people that are succeeding, that look like them, that reflect the values of their community, and want to see them succeed. And so I'm asking for you to use the intelligence that I know that you have, is that you are not just interested in just voting for a party, but you want to be able to represent and select the person that's going to best represent your interests. And so we have a video on youtube.com/Revive Education that instructs our supporters how to do a write-in candidate. So you would just click on write-in candidate for the House seat and type in TONYBOYCE. And I want to be able to revive education to go to Columbia and help us change from this being a miracle to being a reality, and saying that we're going to have a state that knows how to fiscally manage its money. It's no wonder that we're 47th in education if we have a state that has $8.8 billion worth of debt. I don't think any of you would balance your checkbooks that way. I don't think you want to tolerate leadership that continues to write a blank check in order to fund education. If you believe in education, if you believe in reducing unemployment, if you believe in rebuilding community, I want to be your representative for House 25. Thank you. Give yourself a hand.
Okay, we're now going to District 27 for the State House. And we've got someone running unopposed and still wants to come and spend time telling us about himself, which we really appreciate. Has a Bachelor of Arts in History from the University of South Carolina, Aiken, and a Master's in Public Administration from the University of South Carolina, Columbia. And has been in the House of Representatives since 2003, Chairman of House Operations and Management Committee, member of House Ways and Means Committee, and has a pretty good employment resume too, a lot of experience. That's Gary Smith.
Thank you, Jason, and thank you, Eric, also for doing this tonight. And also thank you to the ladies of the League of Women Voters. And most of all, thank you for being here tonight and being engaged in our process of representative democracy. What you are doing here tonight is one of the most important things that you can possibly do as a citizen in this great land, in this great country, and in this great state, is to be active, to be a part of the process, to be engaged in what your government is doing and have a voice in that government. So I congratulate you and thank you for your participation in that. I have been blessed to be in the South Carolina House of Representatives since 2003. I've also been blessed to be married to a wonderful lady named Brenda Smith for the last 32 years. We have 2 children, Michael, our oldest, who is the state epidemiologist. Actually, he was just promoted. He's now the director of the State Department of Epidemiology and Prenatal Health for the state of South Carolina, and a daughter who is a speech pathologist in Florida. Let me tell you a little bit about some of the things that are priorities for me for this coming legislative year, and about some of the issues that I have heard being out and about talking to citizens in the state and in the district. One of the most important things, and one of the things I hear the most, is about economic development. We're fortunate to live where we are in South Carolina, because one of the things that you may or may not realize is that according to the Federal Reserve, we have one of the fastest growing and best economies in the country. Last year, they predicted, the Federal Reserve itself predicted our economy, GDP, to grow at over 3%. This year, they're expecting it to grow anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5%. Our Board of Economic Advisors project we'll probably grow somewhere around 3% GDP this year. What that means is that we have set the soil conditions, we have set a basis for economic development and for businesses to flourish within this state. That is vitally important, particularly when you look at the rest of the country, where we're looking at 1.25% GDP growth in the country. What that means is that we're not going to be able to take and keep up with the unemployment. You're not going to grow jobs until you get over 3% GDP. Any economist will tell you that. So that's very important for us in this state to take and to keep our GDP above 3%. We're fortunate we've been able to take and do that over the last 2 years, in spite of the economy that we've had on a national sort of basis. And again, the reason we have been able to do that is because leaders such as David Wilkin, who was the Speaker of the state of South Carolina House of Representatives for a number of years, used to say the business of the South Carolina House of Representatives is pro-business. And that's how you do it. You make that a focus. You make that a priority. You make that something that you're not just going to talk about, but something that you do. And being a historian, being a political scientist, being someone who's been in public administration as a city and county manager for a number of years, one of the things I like to do is to take a look at the numbers and see where we are, see where we're coming from, see what the traditions and what the trends have been. We have traditionally been one of the first states in the country to go into an economic recession. We have traditionally been one of the last states to come out of an economic recession. The last 2 recessions, that has not been the case. We have been one of the last to go in. We have been one of the first to come out and lead the country out of the recession. That doesn't just happen by accident. That happens because of leaders and people who look to the future, who build a condition, put together the ground rules and put together the soil conditions that make things right for business to grow and to prosper in this state. I feel very good about that. I feel very good about the things we have done for tort reform, the things we have done for unemployment insurance, the things we did last year to try and correct some of the problems in the past with the unemployment. I think we have a number of issues we've got to take and address this coming year. One of those being election reform, another being ethics reform. Tax reform, something that I worked on as a task force last year. We put forth 7 bills to do restructuring of taxes. Structural reform. I am the author of the administrative restructuring bill, author also that which came that close. For those of you who are running in the Senate, that's where it died last year. So if you're running for the Senate, you get elected, you can help us get that across the goal line this coming year. The other thing has to do with health care. And lastly, the last thing has to do with the budget itself. We have some challenges and some issues before us because right now, even though our economy is growing, we expect our revenues to be soft. But with that in mind, I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. Thank you very much for reminding me that it's time to stop now. Again, congratulations to you for being here tonight. Appreciate your engagement. Again, thank you for what you're doing.
All right, we're going to move into Greenville County now. Jason mentioned one of the other candidates who was an incumbent, Mr. Smith, running and coming and showing up here without opposition, and that's our next candidate. Clerk of Court, Paul Wickensheimer, who's been clerk since 2000, was on the Greenville County Council since for 15 years. We're glad to have him here, Mr. Wickensheimer.
I was just thinking, sitting out in the audience tonight, my career started in this building right here. This used to be an Ivy's department store, and I was an Ivy's employee. Back years ago when I first started, I didn't have a car. I used to ride the bus system from Washington Street to McAllister Square, and that's how I got started a number of years ago. So it's great to come back home and be here tonight with you. I'd like to thank our moderators here and our sponsors, the League, for having us here tonight, so I appreciate the opportunity. I'm going to talk really fast, try to get in as much as I can, so you'll have to listen very, very fast to keep up, okay? You say, what is the clerk of court? What do you do? Okay, let me tell you. I manage 2 offices, Circuit Court downtown at the corner of Church Street and North Street. We have criminal records there, civil records. We keep track of judgments that are filed with the court system. We collect any monies that are paid through the court system, any fees, fines, restitution payments. It could be money that's held by the court for a condemnation case. Any monies that go through the circuit court system come through our office. We schedule cases that come up for trial at circuit court. We manage the jury selection process. So whether it's, if you're there for jury service, you could be there for a murder trial, it could be a drug trial, it could be a malpractice case in a medical situation. All of those cases come through circuit court, and that's all the responsibility of our office. We have 8 courtrooms at circuit court that we look after. There are 5 circuit court resident judges in the circuit. We have a master and equity judge that handles real estate matters too, as well as drug court. So all the folks that work behind the scenes are part of the clerk of court staff at circuit court. Okay, let's switch down to family court, down the street next to County Square. Of course, family cases go through there. It could be a child support issue, could be a custody issue, divorce, name change, any kind of issue that pertains to family matters, domestic relations, go through family court. We collect child support there, so if you are ordered by the court to pay your support through the court system, that comes through our office. Last year in Greenville County, we collected over $36 million. We'll collect that money today. Tomorrow we'll disperse that money to the recipients of those funds. We'll send out checks to those people. Tomorrow we'll issue about 1,000 to 1,100 checks from the money that we collected today. Any cases are filed through there. Any body that has questions about domestic relations cases, we have a lot of folks that come through the door and they ask, what do I do about abuse, or what do I do about filing for divorce? All those questions come through our office. We have a lot of folks that are there to answer those questions. We spend a lot of time working with the general public and answering questions over the phone, folks that are coming in to ask questions. We have 2 drive-in windows there where we collect money. We have 2 walk-up windows. We get money that comes in through payroll deduction. Again, any funds that come in through family court are part of our office. We have 5 resident family court judges that are there. We have 6 courtrooms at family court, so we help with the scheduling of all those cases, and again, keep track of what goes on behind the scenes. Greenville County, there are over 1,200 attorneys that we work with. Of course, the general public, as I mentioned before, that we work with. We work to streamline our operation. One of the things that we think is important is technology. We've worked as a pioneer with a case management system in South Carolina. We were a pilot county for that. We're working to be a pilot county for electronic filing that we hope to see come about next year as well. So we've done a court index on file for the general public. We put the docket on the internet too for attorneys to go in and check and see when their case is coming up for trial. So technology is something that we work very hard with, or hard to implement, and we think that that's important to make the information available to the general public in that regard. So I appreciate the opportunity that I've had the last 12 years to serve as your clerk of court. Our office is available to people no matter what their stage in life is. We try to treat people with respect and provide customer service. And I dwell with the folks in the office that customer service is all that we have to sell there. So thank you for the opportunity. My time is up.
Next, we're going to the Greenville County Sheriff. There is only one name on the ballot. That is the current Sheriff, Steve Loftus, who was unable to be with us, but there is a write-in candidate, Mr. Dexter Reeves, who got a Bachelor of Science degree in Criminal Justice with a double minor in Political Science and History from Benedict College in Columbia, South Carolina, and has served as a detention officer with Greenville County Detention Center, boot camp director, police officer with the Greer Police Department, the deputy sheriff of the Greenville County Sheriff's Office. Mr. Dexter Reeves.
evening.
Good evening.
I think protocol has been established, so I won't go through all of that. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dexter Reeves, and just as he said, you do have a choice for sheriff of Greenville County. I am running as a 2012 write-in candidate for sheriff of Greenville County. Now, many people would ask the question, why are you running for sheriff of Greenville County? Let me explain something to you. It's not a goal. It's not a dream. I'm running for sheriff of Greenville County because it is necessary for someone to run for sheriff of Greenville County to do several things. And one thing that you all don't know is that crime is extremely high in Greenville County. In 2008, when I ran for sheriff of Greenville County, the incumbent and I went back and forth with this issue of crime. He said crime was low. I said crime is high. I lost the election. The day after the election was over, one of his command staff members came on TV, did a press conference and said, guess what? Crime is high. So what did I do? I went back and I sent something out to the newspaper and I said, citizens of Greenville County, you have been hoodwinked. You have been hoodwinked to believe that there are things that are not going on in this county that really are going on in this county. Now guess what? Something that you all are not aware of. Greenville County right now is truly an unsafe county. Why is it an unsafe county? It is an unsafe county because we don't have enough deputies to patrol the county. Right now, the sheriff's office is short by at least 50 deputies to patrol the county. That makes us unsafe. Now how and what example can I give you? Back in the summer, there's an armed robbery that occurred on Augusta Road. There was a shooting involved with that armed robbery. In order to handle that issue on that side of town, which is on the south end of town, deputies had to come from the east side of town, which is like the Taylor's Grit area, to assist with that crime. Now, why do we have this issue? We have this issue with the shortage of manpower because of the turnover rate. The sheriff's office has the highest turnover rate it has ever had in its history. The highest. For one, no experienced officer wants to come work for the Greenville County Sheriff's Office. That's number one. Number two, you have deputies who have been fired. And you also have some who will quit because they don't want to work for an agency where there's poor leadership. And I'm not attacking. I don't believe in attacking. I believe in addressing. And anything that I say to you, I can back it up. Now the next issue that we're having with Greenville County, gangs. Now some of you may say gangs don't affect me because of where I live. Gangs affect all of us because first of all, and they don't want me to say this, gangs are prominent inside of our schools and our community. Now what do we need to address that issue? We need a more effective gang task force unit. The sheriff's office says they have one. I'm sorry. I've been a part of the school system for several years and I've only seen one gang investigator inside of the schools to handle that issue. And that deputy has resigned almost 2 years ago. There's a problem. Now the next thing is, a couple years ago I fought the issue of we have guys who are at the sheriff's office who are command staff members who have retired and come back. Retired and come back and having double salary. At that point there was not an issue. But what happens when there's an opportunity for a young man to run against the incumbent? He goes out and he demotes and terminates 2 command staff members who are retired and come back. But something that you all don't know that you need to know, you need to be aware because you're taxpayers, is that your sheriff retired and came back. Did you all know that? Your sheriff has retired and come back. So therefore that means he's getting the same salary that some of those command staff members are getting. Is that fair? No, it's not fair. What is it doing? It is killing morale. So when you have a deputy that comes out to your house to assist you with an issue and they're nasty and they're rude, it's because they're not excited about being where they are. And we have to do something about that. Major issues are facing us in this county, and we're vulnerable to a lot of things. Something that you need to know is that your sheriff plans to run again. And if he's blessed to win, and I don't think it's going to happen, if he's blessed to win, his plan is to only stay for maybe a year and a half of his term, and turn it over to his second in command. Now, is that right? It's not right. And you talk about morale and the turnover rate, it will get worse. And our crime rate will go extremely high. So what I'm encouraging you all to do on November the 6th, don't vote party ticket. You vote for the issues and you vote for the candidate. it is easy to go in and to push right in and vote for your candidate of your choice. My name is not hard to spell. You here in the upstate, you spell it with 2 E's, R-E-E-V-E-S. It's R-E-A-V-E-S. So November 6th, go to the polls and write in Dexter Reeves for sheriff for Greenville County. Thank you.
I will turn our attention to the Greenville County Council races. We have one race with folks represented here today. That's District 25. We have the incumbent, longtime server on the council, Lottie Gibson. Ms. Gibson?
I'm second on the list. I'd like to hear what.
Oh, sorry, I read that. I misplaced that. We have a petition candidate, and I apologize, Ralph Sweeney. Went to the University of South Carolina and the USC Upstate, earning a Bachelor of Science degrees in Criminal Justice, and earned a Master of Arts degree in Human Resources Development from Webster University. Mr. Sweeney.
Thank you, Jason and Eric. My name is Ralph Sweeney, and I'm running for County Council District 25. And I will say it has been a heck of an election year to get here and stand before you today. As you know, we all were taking off. A good many of us were taking off on May 4th. And some of us braved that heat back in June and July to get back on the ballot. I was one of the fortunate ones to do so. So I'm on the ballot as a petition for Greenville County Council District 25. By a show of hands, how many of you had a chance to have dinner with the president? Before all of this happened, I was having dinner with the president. And he said, I know what happened. I understand what happened. I know you're hurt. I know you're upset. But what can I do to help you? I said, I got to get 1,068 signatures to get back on the ballot. Is there anything? I said, I got to raise some money. I got to do this, got to do that. Well, say no more, Ralph. I'm going to help you. So the president of Grove Elementary stepped in and said, I'm going to help you. And so we ended up getting over 1,100 signatures to get back on the ballot. Yes, I'm running for County Council District 25. And for those of you who do not know about District 25, District 25 is the former place of Freedom Weekend Aloft, is the former place of the Upstate Fairs, former place of Serene Elementary, former place of East Gann Elementary, former place of Baker's Chapel, and so on. It is a unique place that we all love and live, work, and play in. But there are some places or some things about District 25 that is not right. Can you imagine driving down 85, South 85? You stop on Pelham Road, develop. Stop on Woodruff Road, develop. Stop on Lawrence Road, develop. Stop on Augusta. No, you're not going to stop on Augusta Road. You're going to keep going. You stop on Whitehorse. No, you're not going to stop on Whitehorse Road. You're going to keep going. You're going to go all the way down to 153, develop. Why isn't District 25 what it should be? We have the economic boom. We have the economic engine with SC TAC. SC TAC on his website said, hey, we bring in $1.6 billion to the local economy. It doesn't look like that. If that is the case, South Augusta Road and Whitehorse Road should not look like that. They also said we bring in $6.5 million in taxes. Where is it being spent? Where is it being spent? They also say we have over 4,500 employees that come out there every day and work at SC TAC. We have to ask the question, how many of those employees or those workers are from District 25? So what it's saying is that they earn that money, that income, take it to Simpsonville, which is not bad. Take it to Anderson, not bad. Take it to Taylor's, and so on. While District 25 has a problem with high transition, education, and so forth. In 2008, I ran an unbelievable campaign, but this year we're going to run a believable one. Just as in 2008, we asked people, said, hey, people at 25, if you're going to go out and eat at a sit-down restaurant, where would you go? Get the message over and get the message across. Say, oh, we'll go to whatever restaurant on Woodruff Road. Said, well, how much are you going to spend? Oh, we spend $40. How many times did you go per month? Said twice. In 2008, 10,000 people voted in District 25. Assuming that those individuals had the same spending habits, you're looking at $800,000 a month, $9.6 million per year that's being spent outside the district. It is good to have those things in the district, good to go to those places and promote those places outside the district. What about us? We like to have those unskilled and skilled jobs and the opportunity to have the education to get those skilled jobs at Donaldson Center. So if we're doing the same thing with, thank you. If we're doing the same thing with the food, we have to ask the question: what are we doing with our, where we're buying our clothes, what have you? You know, those things that make a community are not present in District 25. And with this campaign, we would like to bring those things to District 25 so that we all have a place to stay and live and enjoy where we are. I apologize about my nervousness or what have you. Just as Desha was talking earlier, I was burglarized last week, and I just got a text from my neighbor and had the same thing happen to them, so we're in Bellmead, we're a little bit riled up right now. But on November 6th or before, I would like for you to go in that ballot booth, go to page 2, and punch Ralph Sweeney, County Council, District 25. Let's make history this year. Thank you.